So I wrote down some notes about why people don't want to see that this thing is scripted or coded like a movie script that's already written. And if it's a movie script that's already written, it's a codex, a book. And if it's codex, it's a code. CODEX is book, and CODE is code. So it's written down. It's already written. You're just playing it out. So the reason people don't want to admit that they're in a script, I wrote down some reasons. There's probably a lot more. I just jotted these down real quick. Number one, they must admit that their life is not their own. So if a person rejects the codex, the book, the Bible, one of the reasons is they must admit that their life is not their own. Also, it leads to worship. When you see the code hidden, the Bible right in front of you, you're in a book, you're in a 3D version. When you see the Bible right out in front of you, it leads to worship 24/7 because everything in front of you is preaching the cross. Once you see the code hidden in plain view, time stops. But they love the drama, they love the cycles. Another thing is, once you see the codes, you know the future from the past, which takes away the mystery. So people would rather be in a mystery. They'd rather not know the future because you see the future from the past, It replays. There's nothing new under the sun. History repeats, just like every day repeats, just like every moment repeats. It's the same truth everywhere at all times. Everywhere, all the time, in all things. What else? Let's see. Self is not on the throne. So once you see the codex or the code or the Bible right in front of you, encoded in everything, the Bible's encoded right in front of you, self is no longer on the throne because you realize you're just like you're a created being playing your role in the scroll, just like an actor. Who's really more important, the person who wrote the script or the actor that's acting in the script? They can change actors anytime. They can change. Let's say an actor dies or gets sick, or the series number 2 comes up and they don't want to do it anymore. They can change actors, to play the script. Let's see. One reason people don't want to see the Bible in front of them, the codex, the code, they'd have to admit they're not in control. They're not in control. Another reason, they must admit sin. Because you got dropped down into time, and you're in a repeat rinse, wash and rinse cycle, to cleanse you. Pride is destroyed. One reason people can't admit they're in a 3D Bible and the Bible's right in front of them. The truth is right in front of them. The truth is everywhere. Is pride is destroyed. Another thing is there's nothing new to talk about. They would have to shut down their silly chatter, their noise, their chatter noise. There's nothing new really to talk about except for Jesus saves. Jesus went to the cross, and there's really nothing else to talk about because you see it everywhere. So they'd have to shut down their vain imaginations, vain talk, vanity, vain thoughts. They'd have to die to their own vanity, and their vain imaginations and their doctrines of demons and doctrines of devils, but they don't want to do that. They'd be bored in the natural, and they'd have to. Okay, so if they saw the code, they'd be bored with this place, and they'd have to look in the inner man to be renewed for some excitement. You'd have to be introspective. When you see this is all the same old, I'm sure the stoplight in your city looks just like this one or close to it. It's the same old, You'd get bored with this place, and you'd have to start to find a way not to be bored. You'd either go through your midlife crisis, or you'd go in the inside in the inner man and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. And you'd have to, instead of setting affections down here, they'd have to set them above, but they don't want to do that. What else? They'd be bored in the natural. Must look inward. They don't want to look in. They don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look in the mirror. All dreams inside Babylon must be. All dreams in Babylon must die. Yeah. So, if you saw the code in plain view that the Bible's everywhere, I just saw somebody take a cone out of McDonald's back door. Got me a drink over there, and I see a cone here. It's just this a pattern. It's a repeat. It's a cycle. It's a birthing. So if you saw the code, you would have to die to all your Babylonian dreams, all the dreams that you have. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and they don't want to die to their dreams, and they want other people to follow their dreams. Now, God can give you new dreams if you die to Babylon. It looks like, look at that little setup there. If you died to Babylon, the dreams of Babylon, God can give you new dreams. What would be the new dreams? To win souls, to go out and win some souls. Really, that's the only purpose for this place, really. It's a test. It's a separation. It's a washing machine. It's a judgment. One of the things that's happening down here is you're being changed, morphed, metamorphosis. You're being morphed into a new creature, but you're being moved to your eternal duty, standing. You're gonna be kings and priests unto God. So you're gonna have certain duties before God, right? So you're being changed, and you're being tested, and you're being turned, and you're being renewed to see how evil the old Adamic nature, your old Adam, your old Eve, your old Adam is so evil. If you saw how evil it was, you would jump off a bridge. God has to show you little by little how evil you are and how righteous Jesus is. And until you get to that point, you don't want to see it because it's so wicked and so vile and so ridiculous. I mean, just even unforgiveness or bitterness. That's unforgiveness and bitterness is so wicked it ain't even funny. You might say, how come it's so wicked? Pride is probably the worst sin, but unforgiveness and bitterness. What you might say, well, why is that? Because if Jesus forgave you, why can't you forgive? While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Jesus, you were enemies of God, but Jesus loved you. Why can't you love your enemy? Give them some bread and water, If your enemy came across the street and said, I need something to eat, you give them bread and water. Even though they tried to kill you, you still feed them. That's what the doctors do. The enemy gets hurt, and the doctors nurse them back to health, even though it's the enemy. Because they took the oath. I'm going to save life, not destroy it. But a lot of doctors they're caught up in Babylon. They think they're healing people, but they're actually making them more sick with their medicine, with their fake medicine. But they didn't know. People with high sugar, they give them insulin or whatever, and it makes it worse over time, instead of just saying, hey, cut back carbs and fast and cut back any kind of sugary drink and it'll go away eventually. But they want them locked in to the Babylonian system. So, to not see the code, the reason we would reject it is because we'd have to admit that it's God's program, it's God's script, it's God's story, and you see the two witnesses in the future, they're just playing out their role. They get killed and then raised from the dead. The 144,000, you see them in the future, they're going to play their role. You see yourself in the future, kings and priests unto God, and you see that in Revelation 4, it's worship service, holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. So you're moving. So people lovers of pleasure instead of lovers of God. People are so worried about stuff. They got to have this car, this house, this clothes, these shoes, this image, all these subscribers, all this. They got to have all this stuff to be happy. But the reality is, if they cut off all the noise and looked at the inner man, looked in the mirror, they would be able to be more happy with no noise. Cut off the music, cut off the TV, cut it all off. Just like that TV show where the guy screams, "Cut off the TV. Go to your guru. Go. You don't need us. Start the thing." I mean, he was screaming because that's really what's happening. All the noise is a distraction to get you to see the truth that's hidden in plain view. Not only is it a 2D Bible that you're reading, it's a 5D Bible. It's forever settled in heaven. And it's 3D Bible playing out right in front of you. The book of Revelation is we're culminating, we're moving towards the rapture. The Bible talked about the rapture, so you're in the stage right before the rapture. You're going to be raptured out. You're going to come back and you're going to live in 1,000 years. The Bible's already, you're playing it out right now. You're playing it out. In the church age, which is the age of grace, right now we're in the church age. We're coming to the end. The age of the Gentiles is coming to an end. There's going to be a rapture. There's going to be a 7-year tribulation. There's going to be a 1,000-year millennium. And at the end of the millennium, there's going to be a great white throne judgment and the unsaved judge. And the kings of the earth, the devil's going to be bound for 1,000 years. And the kings of the earth, the rebellious kings of the earth, Jesus is going to rule for 1,000 years. The devil deceives the kings of the earth again. They put on a smile. It's kind of like somebody's living in your house who really doesn't want to be there, but they got to be there because they got to eat. And they put on a fake smile so you feed them, and they have a place to sleep. But they really hate. It's kind of like the dog that bites the hand that feeds it, And so the 1,000 years, there has to be a testing again. Man has to be tested to try the hearts, because 1,000 years, Jesus is ruling with a rod of iron. So the hearts have to be tested again. The devil's loosed. Those who run to the devil come and attack the camp of the saints. God pushes them back. Then there's the great white throne judgment, the new heaven and new earth. The earth is removed far from hell, moved far from the judgment, and they're burning forever. The smoke of their torment rises forever. That's the negative side of the sine wave. The new heaven, new earth is all happiness and joy and peace and all that. But that's the positive side, because the cross has to always be preached. And the glory and cornucopia and the ecstatic state of being is forever, but the smoke of their torment, the pain, the torment is forever. So that's the sacrifice. This is the blessing, the new heaven and new earth. But because of this and this, God is going to erase the minds, and they won't remember what's happening. But there had to be the cross being preached forever, and that's why the smoke of their torment rises forever, because when Jesus died, that's the negative part of the sine wave, and he rose again, that's the positive side. And so that story is being played out everywhere at all times. All the time, everywhere. And you might say, well, that's not fair. Well, it is fair, because he already knew it would happen, and they made the choice to worship that devil. They made the choice. Hell was not made for man. Hell was made for the devil and his angels. And so the devil deceived the whole world, but the gospel went into all the world, but people reject the gospel, and they chose to follow Lucifer instead of God, Yahweh. They chose to follow the devil instead of Jesus. They chose to follow Satan instead of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so it's their choice to burn forever. It's so simple, a child could do it. By faith. You receive Christ into your heart by faith. It's simple. So that AC sine wave is playing out because that's what happened at the cross. Down, up. It repeats every day, every moment of every day. It's actually happening in your body right now. Down, up, down, up, down, up. You sleep, up. Your cycle, your hormones, everything. Your thoughts, you're turning stuff around in your mind right now, what I'm talking about. And if you put it on a clock, you can also graph it as a sine wave. You're turning it over in your mind, but it can be graphed like this, linear, or it can just be graphed in a circle. So that most people think linear, but it's actually just recycling. So the words I'm speaking, they're being recycled in your brain, and you're creating new concepts. There's new synapses clicking, and you're growing. The synapses are just clicking like crazy. And you come back a year later and you listen again, and new synapse. You've grown. So you come back and listen again, and something new hits you. Oh yeah, now I understand. That's the way it is with the Bible. When you hit source code, everything makes sense, but you still keep learning, because until we get to see Jesus, when you see Jesus, you'll be like him, sons of God, daughters of God. But you're down here in this process, you're turning the truth over and over and over and over and over and over and over, or you should be. You should be turning the truth over in your mind all the time. And as you turn it over, you're birthing into your new state, higher state, moving on up like the Jeffersons. You should be moving on up in the inner man to your higher state. And all these things are good things. You should be able to say, well, it is a worship service 24/7. I don't like the cycles anymore. I'm outside of time. I have my identity in Christ. It's okay that my life is not my own, because God is the creator. Time stops. That's good. Knowing the future from the past is a good thing. Knowing the future from the past, yeah. Self is not on the throne. Dying to self, died daily. If you think about it, you have to give control to God. Let God admit sin, admit pride. You don't even have to talk anymore, because it's already been said. Everything that's been said, everything that's going to be said, has already been said. Yeah, this place is boring. It's good to set your affections above. Dreams in Babylon die. Everybody has these dreams. I'm going to get married and have 2.3 kids. I'm going to do this. I'm going to build this house. I'm going to build a family. I'm going to buy this car. I'm I'm going to run this business. I'm going to build a bit. All these dreams about in Babylon eventually level off and you say, is this all it is? And then you go into a real dream. You'd like to win some souls. That's the real purpose, Nothing else really matters. I mean, helping your neighbor. I mean, if you can manage a business or a house or whatever and help people, that's fine. But if you're helping people go to hell, what's the use? If you're helping people see the truth in your business, great. But if you're helping people to go into Babylon and hell more and more and more and more, what's the whole purpose? They're going to hell in a handbasket with you. But they made a lot of money. They got a lot of attention. They got 1 million subscribers. But what good is it if they take everybody to hell with them? It's no good. It was a waste. It's Babylon. It's a waste of life because it's not eternal. It's temporal. A born-again soul is eternal. An unsaved soul, all their dreams die here, and then they burn in hell forever. Yeah, they're eternally dead, but all their dreams there died. If you win souls down here, your dreams go on forever because that person who heard the gospel and got saved, or your track, or however you witnessed, blog, handing out tracts, whatever, they got saved. And guess what? You're with them in heaven forever, and you're fellowshipping with them forever. That's eternal. This down here, all this is going to burn up. All this is going to burn up. All of this. All of it. And if all this is going to burn up, what does that tell you? It's not even real. So why? Only thing that's real is something that lasts forever. And this don't last forever, so it's not real. And so this simulation is temporary. It's temporal. And anything that's temporary is not real. So what is real? Souls, spirit, will, emotion, intellect, the heart, the mind, the internal, the spiritual side. It's so obvious and it's so simple and it's so ridiculous that people got so caught up in Babylon that it's not even funny. I mean, it's just ridiculous. People get their identity out of their car or their house or their looks or their weightlifting or their clothes or their shoes or their tools. And they get their identity out of something down here and it's just dirt. All this stuff came from the ground. The trees came from the wood, the sand, the plastic, all this, the plastic and the metal, all that came from the ground. That's all. And so it's the handiwork of man that pulled that up out of the ground, but God gave them the gifts, the knowledge to do it, but it's not even an identity that lasts. If you get your identity in your tools, it's temporary. But if you get your identity in Jesus, it's forever. If you get your identity in Jesus, you won't have any addictions. Period. If you get your identity in Jesus, all addictions go away. Because you're free. If the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. All addictions go away. If you get your identity in Jesus, there's no addiction to anything down here. You're not addicted to some woman. You're not addicted to some career. You're not addicted to some identity. You're not addicted to some pleasure. You're not addicted to some drink or drug or smoke or anything. You're not addicted to a movie or TV or a superstar or movie star. You're not addicted to any person. You're not addicted to any ism or cult or you're not addicted to your guns. You're not addicted to your decals on your car. You're not addicted to anything down here because it's all vanity. Jesus alone saves. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not addicted to your little knickknacks on your shelf in your living room. You're not addicted to your wallpaper, your cleanliness. You're not addicted to anything. And once you step into that identity, you kind of just shake your head at people that are addicted to certain things. I mean, it blows your mind. It really blows your mind. And it makes you want to cry at first. And then over time you say, I ain't even gonna talk to them. They're addicted to their cigarette lighter. I mean, people are addicted to they gotta have this kind of cigarette lighter. Or they gotta have this kind of ink pen. People are actually addicted to certain kinds of ink pens. They're addicted to hobbies. They knives and collecting knives and just they're just addicted to this place. And it's like, what? It's junk. It came from the ground and it's going to burn up. It's actually an idol. Why not be addicted to God and His Word and knowing His will and His truth, and be addicted to the unseen, the truth that's hidden in plain view? Why not be addicted to the spirit realm instead of addicted to this ridiculous Play-Doh land? It's Play-Doh land. It's a cartoon. It really is a cartoon. That dude there, he's a cartoon. He's riding down the road. He's got his AI. He's got his music blasting, messing his ears up, and he's being brainwashed by the Illuminati, AI flesh mind. He telling him what to think. What you put in your ear gate is the way you think. I mean, people. I actually remember when a long time ago you'd play a song and it'd be stuck in your mind. And I'm sure that still happens to people. I haven't talked to people about it lately, but I'm sure it still happens. They're probably what they end up saying is, I can't get that song out of my mind. Yeah, because you've been brainwashed to think like that song. If you can't get a song out of your mind, go read the Bible, cut the music off, and learn some verses. If you've memorized a song but you can't memorize a Bible verse, you're upside down. You've been brainwashed by the system. But like I said, they don't want to leave Babylon. The reason they don't want to see the truth right in front of them, because they're so addicted to the Babylonian music and TV. They remember basketball player names or football player. They remember their names. When I was a kid, I watched Dallas Cowboys. Tony Dorsett, number 33 and all that. Why do I still remember that? Because it was a distraction. I was addicted to football way back then when I was a kid. Why? Because my dad told me about it, or my uncle, or it was on TV. They brainwashed me to be addicted to football when I was a kid. Now I don't even like to watch that junk because it's the red versus blue over and over. It's the same game, just different people. The Super Bowl every year is the same game. It's just different teams. Addicted to any kind of sport down here is affections below. It blows your mind. I'm a cowboy. I'm a redskin. Well, change uniforms. Let them change quarterbacks, and then you become okay, your favorite quarterback goes over here and takes a job over here. Oh, now you're a redskin. It's a mirror image. It's ridiculous. It's insanity. This guy here, he works for the Cowboys. He got drafted or whatever for the Cowboys, and then these guys want to pay him more, so he leaves the Cowboys and goes to become a quarterback for the Redskins. Now whose team are you on? You see how stupid it is? It's insane. It's insanity. It really is. It's insanity. It's insanity. Wake up.